In 1965, a father in Dayton, Ohio, came downstairs on the coldest morning of the year to find a garden hose split at the coupling, spraying the basement, and the shutoff already closed but the drip still going where a pipe joint had let loose. Two men on his street had already been quoted hundreds of dollars for the same kind of trouble that winter. He knew it, and he did not flinch. He did not call anyone. He dried the pipe with a rag and wrapped it tight with a few turns of the silver cloth tape he kept on a nail by the workbench. It held that joint until spring, when he fixed it right, dry and on a Saturday, for the price of a fitting. The whole emergency cost him 10 cents of tape and 4 minutes. That pipe wrap, done the right way so it actually holds, is number 3 on this list. And the one thing that Father understood about this tape that almost nobody does is number 1. It is the thing that told him when it would save $500 and when it would cost him his house. He was not a rare man. In 1965, there was a roll of this tape in every workshop and every kitchen drawer in America, and a father who reached for it before he reached for the phone. He did not think it fixed everything. He knew better than that. He thought of it as the thing that bought him time. It held a broken thing together until he could get to it right, and it saved a frightening number of expensive phone calls in the meantime. We traded that away. We were handed a phone number for every small trouble and taught to feel helpless in front of a leak or a crack or a rattle. That knowledge did not die because the tape stopped working. A roll of it holds today exactly like it held in 1965. It died because there is no money in a father who can stop the bleeding himself for 10 cents. Number 11 stops a leak in a car radiator hose well enough to drive you home instead of paying for a tow and an emergency shop. Number 3 is the pipe wrap from the top of this story, done the way that actually holds. And number 1 is not a fix at all. It is the single thing every one of these fathers knew about this tape, the thing that separates a repair that saves you $500 from a mistake that burns your house down, and it is the most important thing on this entire list. These 15 fixes were never about tape. They were the mark of a father who could stop a small disaster with his own 2 hands. He bought himself time and fixed it right when he was ready, instead of panicking and dialing. Not a customer, a calm man with a roll of tape. Every fix on this list that Dayton father did in his own 2 hands. But before the first one, we have to be honest about the one place this tape must never go, because the man in our story knew it, and it is the whole reason the list ends the way it does. If that kind of steadiness is worth remembering, subscribe and stay to the end, because the last one is the one that matters most. Let us count down the 15 easy duct tape fixes every father did in the 1960s that replace a $500 contractor call. Number 15, patching a torn window screen. A screen tears, the bugs pour in all summer, and the hardware store wants to sell you a whole new screen and a re-screening job. For a small tear, this tape closes it in a minute. You cut a neat patch a little larger than the hole. You round the corners so it will not peel, and press it firmly over the tear on the inside of the screen. Round the corners because a square corner is the first thing to lift. For the family fighting mosquitoes through a torn porch screen, a patch bought the whole rest of the season for pennies. The Dayton father patched the same porch screen every June and re-screened the whole frame every few autumns. This is a stopgap, not a re-screening, but it holds bugs out until you are ready to do it right. Not a screen you replace in July, a tear you close in a minute. Number 14, sealing a drafty window for winter. Cold air pours through the gap around an old window, the heating bill climbs, and a contractor quotes hundreds to reglaze or replace it. Until you can do it right, this tape seals the draft. You run a strip along the seam where the cold is coming in on the inside. You press it into the gap so the air stops. Use it on the stop and the frame, never across the glass you need to see through, and pull it off gently in spring. For the family heating with oil through an Ohio winter, sealing 2 rattling windows saved real money on every cold month. The Dayton father ran a strip along the same 2 north windows every November and pulled it off clean every spring. This is a winter stopgap, not a new window, but it stops the draft tonight. Not a window you replace in January. A draft you seal until spring. Number 13, holding a cracked garden hose or making a temporary seal. A garden hose splits or a coupling cracks, and it sprays everywhere, and a man goes to buy a whole new hose in the middle of a job. A tight wrap of this tape gets the season out of it. You dry the hose completely. Then you wrap the tape tight over the split and a good inch past it on each side, stretching it slightly as you go so it grips. Bone dry first, or it will never stick. For the man watering a garden he depended on, a hose wrapped by his own hands lasted the whole summer instead of a trip to the store. The Dayton father kept a roll on a nail by the spigot for exactly this. It is not a permanent repair, but on a low-pressure hose it holds a long time. Not a hose you throw out. A split you wrap tight.
Before we go on, I made something special for you. A guide for men like us who still believe a man should be able to fix his own home. It's the forgotten handyman secrets, the old-fashioned repair tricks our grandfathers used to fix anything around the house and keep it running for life. But these skills are disappearing fast, and once they're gone for good. Don't pay a repairman ever again. Scan the QR code on screen or click the link below. Go ahead, I'll wait right here.
Number 12. Temporarily patching a small hole in a gutter or downspout. A gutter rusts through in one spot and overflows down the wall, staining it and wetting the foundation, and a man is quoted for a whole new run of gutter. For one small hole, this tape buys you a season. You get the metal bone dry and clean the grime off. Then you press a patch hard over the hole from the inside, extending well past it. Dry and clean, or it will not last a week. For the family watching water pour down the siding in every storm, a patch stopped it until they could replace that section properly. This is a stopgap on a low-stress spot. Not a new gutter, but it stops the overflow now. Not a gutter you replace in the rain. A hole you patch until you can. Number 11. Getting a leaking radiator hose home. A car's radiator hose splits on the road, steam pours out, and a man is looking at a tow and an emergency garage bill far from home. A wrap of this tape can get you home. You wait for the engine to cool and dry the hose. Then you wrap the tape tightly around the split and well past it on both sides, as tight as you can pull it. Let it cool first, and understand this gets you to a garage, not around the country. For the family broken down on a Sunday far from home, a wrapped hose and a slow, careful drive beat a tow truck and a holiday shop rate. This is an emergency limp home fix, not a repair, so replace the hose as soon as you are safe. Not a tow you pay for, a hose you wrap to get home. Number 10. Splinting a broken tool handle or a tent pole. A rake handle cracks, a tent pole snaps on a trip, a broom breaks, and a man throws the whole thing out over a split in the wood. This tape splints a break well enough to finish the job. You line the break up straight. If you can, lay a stick or a dowel alongside it as a splint. Then wrap the whole thing tight with the tape. Wrap well past the break on both sides so the splint carries the load. For the family with a tent pole snapped on the second night of a trip, A splinted pole saved the whole vacation. A stick laid alongside the brake carries the load the wood no longer can. It is not as good as new, but it gets you through the season or the trip. Not a tool you toss, a brake you splint tight. Number 9. Making a temporary hem or gear repair in the field. A pant hem falls on the way out the door, a backpack strap tears on a hike, a boot sole starts flapping miles from the car, and there is no needle or shop for miles. This tape makes a repair that holds until you get home. You fold the hem and press a strip inside it, or you wrap the failing strap, or tape the flapping sole tight to the boot. Press it firm and warm it with your hand so it grips. For the hiker whose boot came apart on the trail, a few wraps of tape from a roll he kept in his pack walked him back to the car. It is a field repair, not a tailor or a cobbler, but it gets you home. Not a trip you abandon. Gear you hold together to get back. Number 8. Sealing a leaking box, bag, or container for the short term. A trash bag splits, a bag of feed or soil tears open, a box bottom gives out under load, and the whole thing spills. A strip of this tape seals it fast. You pull the tear closed and run the tape firmly along it, and the bag or box holds together long enough to do its job. Press it down hard along the whole seam. For the man hauling 40 pounds of feed in a split sack, a taped bag made it from the truck to the barn without losing a handful. A roll of it in the truck did the work of a box of clamps and ties. Not a container you replace, a tear you seal to finish the haul. Stop the count for a moment, because to use this tape well, you have to know the one strange truth about it, the one its own name gets exactly backwards. This tape was born in the war. In 1943, a woman named Vesta Stute worked in a munitions plant. She worried that the paper tape sealing ammunition boxes was too hard for a soldier to tear open under fire, and she wrote a letter about it all the way to President Roosevelt. Johnson & Johnson made her idea real, a strong cloth tape on cotton duck backing, waterproof. The soldiers called it duct tape because water ran off it like off a duck's back. After the war, in the housing boom, builders started slapping it on heating and air ducts. The color went from army green to silver, and the name became duct tape. And here is the truth that almost nobody knows. It is the one thing you should never, ever use on ducts. In 1998, the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory tested about 30 sealants on ductwork, cycling them through the heat. Duct tape was the only one that failed. The heat dries the adhesive out in days, it lets go, and in many places, the building code forbids it because it is flammable. The tape named for ducts is the one tape that fails on ducts. That is the whole lesson of this list in one fact. This tape is a genius at buying you time and a disaster anywhere there is heat. Number 7. Bundling and organizing instead of buying hardware. A man needs to bundle cords, lash tools together for carrying, mark a hazard, or hold a bundle of pipe for the truck, and he is about to drive to the store for straps and ties. This tape does all of it. You wrap the cords into a coil and tape the coil. You lash the tool handles together with a few tight turns, or tear a strip to mark a step or a low beam. Fold the end of the strip under for a tab so you can pull it free later. For the man loading a truck for a job, a roll of tape in his hands did the work of a drawer full of straps and clamps. The Dayton father lashed his own tools for hauling this way for 40 years. Not a bag of hardware you buy, a bundle you tape in seconds. Number 6. Emergency patching a tarp, tent, or air mattress. A tarp tears in the wind. A tent rips in a storm, an air mattress springs a leak on the first night, and the whole shelter is failing. This tape patches them well enough to get through. You dry the material and cut a patch with rounded corners. You press it hard over the hole, and for a tarp or tent, put a patch on both sides of the tear. Rounded corners on both sides, or the wind finds the edge. For the family in a leaking tent in a downpour, a taped seam kept them dry through the night. A patch on the inside and the outside both means the wind never finds an edge to lift. It is a field patch, not a new tarp, but it saves the trip. Not shelter you abandon, a tier you patch on both sides. Number 5, holding a car's trim, mirror, or bumper together to get to the shop. A side mirror cracks loose, a piece of trim peels off at speed, a bumper cover sags after a knock, and a man is looking at driving unsafe or paying for a tow. This tape holds it together to get to the shop. You dry the surface, then you wrap or strap the loose piece firmly back into place with the tape, enough to keep it from flapping or falling into the road. This is to get you to the shop safely, not to drive on for months. For the family with a mirror hanging by its wires, a few wraps of tape held it steady for the drive in. The Dayton father strapped his own side mirror back on, this way the morning a neighbor's kid backed into it. Not a tow you call, a part you strap to get there. Number 4, the one duct it can seal and the one it must never touch. Here is the trap, and the honest father knew the way around it. You must never seal a heating duct with this tape because the heat will dry it out and drop it in days, and it can be a fire risk. But a man could still tape a piece of cardboard over an unused cold air return to redirect air for a season. He could block a draft from an unused vent that carries no heat, where there is no high temperature at all. Never on a hot air duct, ever. And for real duct sealing, you use metal foil tape or mastic. For the family closing off a vent to a room they did not heat, a taped cover over a cold return saved a chilly season safely. This is the one place the name lies to you, and knowing that is worth $500 by itself. Not the hot duct it is named for, only the cold, no-heat vent, and only for now. Here is the part of his story we have skipped. The Dayton father did not always know the limits of this tape. He learned them the hard way in the winter of 1951, when he was young in his first house and proud of a roll of the Silver Miracle. The furnace duct in the crawl space had a leak, warm air hissing out. He did what seemed obvious. He wrapped the joint tight with the tape and felt clever about it. For a few weeks it held. Then, one cold night, the dried-out adhesive let go in the heat. The tape sagged off the hot metal, and the loose end fell against the furnace and scorched. He woke to the smell, a black mark on the joist, and a fright that took years off his life. It could have been the house. An older neighbor, a man who had done duct work, did not lecture him. He just pointed at the scorch and said the only thing about the tape the young father never forgot. It is not for ducts, son. It is for everything else, and for buying you time. Use it for that, and respect what it cannot do. And that lesson, the plainest and most important thing on this whole list, is number 1. Number 3, wrapping a pipe leak to buy time until you fix it right. This is the fix from the top of our story, the one that held that joint until spring. A pipe joint drips or a small crack weeps, and a man panics and calls an emergency plumber at a holiday rate. A proper wrap buys you the time to do it right. You shut the water off and dry the pipe completely. Then you wrap the tape tightly over and well past the leak, stretching it as you go for a firm grip. Bone dry and well past the leak on both sides, and know this holds a low-pressure drip, not a burst main. For the family with a weeping joint on a Sunday night, a wrap held it dry until a calm Saturday, and a $2 fitting with no plumber's holiday rate and no water on the floor by morning. This is time you are buying, not a permanent repair. So fix it right when you can. Not an emergency plumber you pay double. A drip you wrap until Saturday. Number 2, knowing this is a stopgap and fixing it right when you can. The most important habit these fathers had was not any single fix, it was what they did after. They understood that this tape stops the bleeding, buys the time, and gets you home. Then, when the emergency is past and the surface is dry and calm, they fixed the thing correctly with their own hands. You wrap the pipe tonight. You sweat the joint or set the fitting on Saturday. You patch the screen in July, and you rescreen it in the fall. You limp the car home, and you replace the hose in the driveway the next day. The tape is what keeps a small problem from becoming a $500 emergency at the worst possible moment. It holds the line until you can do the real work. The real fix is what keeps it from coming back. Do both, and you have the whole secret. For the man who wanted to sleep at night, this two-step was the difference between a handled problem and a hidden one. Not a patch you forget about, a stopgap you follow with the real fix. Number 1, knowing the one place it must never go. And it is the thing this whole list has been circling since the first minute. Before any single fix on this list, the Dayton father understood one hard truth about this tape that almost nobody does, and every safe use flows from it. Never use it where there is heat. Never on a furnace duct, a heat vent, a flue, an engine part that gets hot, or anywhere near flame. The heat dries the adhesive out, the tape lets go, and the loose end can catch and burn. The tape is named for the one job it fails at, and that irony is not a joke. It is a warning printed into the name itself. Everywhere there is no heat, it is a genius. A 10-cent tool that stops leaks, patches tears, splints breaks, and buys you the time to fix things right. It truly can save you $500 in a panicked phone call, but the moment there is heat, you put it down and you reach for the right thing. Foil tape and mastic for ducts, a proper clamp for a hot line, a real repair for anything that burns. He did not learn that from the label. He learned it from a scorch mark on a joist in 1951, from an old neighbor who pointed at it and said, "It is not for ducts, son, it is for everything else, and for buying you time." Here is the part worth sitting with. Every other fix on this list can save you money. This one saves your house. The internet is full of duct tape tricks, and the dangerous ones all have one thing in common. They put the tape where there is heat. Learn the one rule, no heat ever, and every other fix on this list is safe, easy, and worth real money. Not the most clever fix on this list, the plainest, and the one that keeps every other one from costing you everything. None of it needed a contractor. That was the point. And it is the thing the emergency call will never tell you. A father with a roll of tape and a steady head owed nothing to a panic and a phone. He wrapped the pipe and bought himself until Saturday. He patched the screen and got the summer out of it. He sealed the draft and got the winter. He limped the car home and slept in his own bed, and then he fixed each thing right, dry and calm, for the price of a part. But he knew, always, the one place the tape must never go, and knowing it is the whole difference between a father who saves $500 and a father who loses everything. That knowledge was never taken from us for our safety. If anything, the opposite, because the part that matters most, the part about the heat, is the part that got forgotten first. We did not lose the tape. It is a few dollars a roll on the bottom shelf of every store, the same cloth and glue it always was. What we lost was the steady hand that knew both what it could do and what it could not, and an old neighbor said it best, pointing at a scorch mark on a joist. "It is not for ducts, son. It is for everything else, and for buying you time."